ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt and Hill. Hunt Palmer, Jeremy Hill, holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. It's Hunt and Hill. Now on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Welcome in, Hunt and Hill, on a Monday from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city. I am Hunt Palmer. He is Hill, Jeremy Hill. Casey Gaines back in action. Taylor Sharp back there on the ones and twos. Good weekend, Mr. Hill?
Oh, my weekend was great. I stole a move from NFL front offices, like when they, get rid of their first round pick, and they're like, "Oh, what are we gonna do? Watch highlights all first round." So instead of thinking about Ole Miss winning it all, I just watched Tommy Tank's highlights all weekend, and it made the weekend go by pretty smooth. So that was good.
We're gonna talk about Tommy Tanks in about 15 minutes because that is good. But look, what we're gonna do here to start the show is we're going to blame all of this on Kennesaw State. This is all Kennesaw State's fault. I'm sitting there in Hattiesburg, a lovely but warm Sunday afternoon, and Kennesaw State has a one-run lead on Southern Miss in the ninth. If they finish the deal, LSU beats Kennesaw State by 100 later that day. Ole Miss comes to the box. We take care of them in the Super. We're going to Omaha, and none of this ever happens. Instead, Kennesaw State chokes. LSU can't get it done. Ole Miss goes to Hattiesburg and wins, and now the Rebels are national champions. Is that a little bit ambitious of me? Am I assuming a little bit? Yes, I am, but that's what we can do here. And Ole Miss is now the national champions of college baseball. As I was watching yesterday, it was just one of those deals where you can never replicate the first one. And these Ole Miss fans have been waiting forever. They haven't won anything in anything ever. Just perpetually mediocre to poor in every athletic endeavor forever. And this is the first one. I mean, they turned that place red and blue yesterday. I mean, they had to have 20,000 Ole Miss fans up there in Omaha because this is the first time. No one's ever seen it. So you got to go. LSU can't replicate that. We've all kind of been around and seen national championships. And next time we go back and win one, it'll be awesome. But you can't quite replicate the first one. And it was very obvious this was the first one for Ole Miss because that place was swimming with Ole Miss fans that purchased, I believe, like 20,000 Jello shots over a week and a half span. But they made it happen, and they are the champions of college baseball, beating Oklahoma. Your thoughts?
Yeah, they definitely did. And I thought, for them being the second team to be the last to get in to go finally win, it just shows you just how wacky baseball can be. It doesn't have to be the team who's won 20 conference games or anything like that. If you're playing the right brand of baseball at the right time, that's exactly what Ole Miss did. And just felt like going into that, they had that magical moment where they're hitting back-to-back home runs, and I just thought there's nothing Oklahoma could do after that point. I thought it was one after that. Ole Miss just kind of, you felt that wave coming over, and it kind of took over Omaha. You saw their fan base out there in droves, and you saw their pitching. I thought, the way Hunter Elliott pitched, that's what you needed, especially in a big-time elimination game, to get their pitchers to go in there and do the job they did all, tournament long, especially in the College World Series. I thought that's exactly what you needed. Wish our LSU pitching could have something like that. But, hey, you got to tip your caps to Ole Miss. Their pitching showed up when they desperately needed it.
Look, I think the biggest play in the game was the call of runner interference, and there's no question about that. And, it's by the letter of the law, by the rule, it was the correct call. It's a terrible rule. And Kyle Peterson immediately jumped in when he saw this and went, oh, my God, I hate this rule. They're going to call him out. I mean, and if you weren't watching, Oklahoma has a couple guys on first and second, and they bunt, and Ole Miss picks the ball up and throws the ball to the left of first base. It's in the line. And the ball gets by Elko, goes down, they score a run. They're going to have second and third, just one out. Like it's going to be set up for a huge inning. And instead, they get the runner's interference call. And the runner was not – sometimes you'll see runners intentionally go inside the baseline to try to make the throw difficult on the catcher or pitcher, whoever's throwing it. This was not that case. He was running directly on the baseline. But as you know, that runner box is in foul territory – and the base is in fair territory. So essentially what the rule is telling you, you need to run in foul territory until the last step and then come into fair territory to step on the base. And look, they saw it. They called it. It was going to be the call, and it was the right call, but it absolutely sucked the life out of Oklahoma. Ole Miss gets out unscathed. They're able to add a couple late and win the national championship. It's unfortunate when it comes down to a nuanced call like that, but I think the proper call was made.
Yeah, it definitely was. And I think that's one of the rare times where replay actually came in effect and helped the times. Normally, they're never overturning anything. They're keeping the call on the field. But, I got to agree about letter of law. He was just inside by a little bit, so you got to call that. But, yeah, I thought, the way Ole Miss played, man, you got to tip your credit to them. That's the type of team you look at it. They played the best in Omaha, and that's the team that won the national championship. So you can't discredit them. They did a great job showing up, and I still got to continue to give credit to their pitching. Their pitching really, to me, was their calling card. When they really needed to have it, they found a way to get outs.
The last 2 runs come home on wild pitches, one of which, the first one, was a cross-up with no one on second. I don't know what Oklahoma is doing between their catcher and their pitcher, but he was clearly not prepared and missed the ball by 1.5 feet. And it goes by, and they score the go-ahead run. I have not seen very many cross-ups without a runner on second base in my time watching baseball, but crazy things happen when the lights shine the brightest, and they certainly did for Ole Miss last night. For Mike Bianco, look, and we ran the Citizens Bank poll question of the day last week saying, are you pulling for Mike Bianco and Ole Miss to win a national championship? And I think there is a small portion of LSU fans that were pulling for Ole Miss for Bianco. I think there is probably a little bit more that are happy that it happened, not necessarily pulling for them, but okay, happy that they won it. And then there's most people like me that don't want Ole Miss to win anything ever, so you're disappointed. But the truth is that Mike Bianco, he built this thing and has run it for over 20 years and has had plenty of teams good enough to win national championships. And for whatever reason, they have just been stonewalled in regionals and specifically in super regionals. They broke through in Lafayette a few years back and got up to Omaha and won a couple of games. But finally this year, something clicked. They put that starting rotation together, and then the guys who were so good offensively last year kind of came into form late in the year. Elko was just brilliant in the College World Series. Gonzalez, who had struggled with batting average all year long, hits the big home run yesterday that he's going to be a first-round pick one day, very likely. And then, as you mentioned, it was DeLucia and Elliott just slid in there, and that's the most important thing. And look, Oklahoma had great starting pitching of their own. It just wasn't quite good enough against an Ole Miss team that just pitched it like crazy because they didn't swing the bats great for some of the stretches in Omaha. They scored 2 runs in both Arkansas games. They scored 4 runs yesterday, and 2 of them were on wild pitches. So it wasn't like they were an offensive juggernaut. Their pitching just came through in spades when they had to have it. Yeah,
they definitely did. And I thought, we talked about the way LSU played all season, just how you have to mix and match and pitch it together to get through baseball games. When you can get the production that Ole Miss got, especially in these big-time elimination games, fighting for your lives in Omaha, their guys showed up. DeLucia showed up when they had to have him. They didn't need to get to him in this situation. I thought Elliott, showed up when they desperately had to have it too. So got to give it credit to Bianco, though. I think being in a situation, being in a world where you're on the verge of losing your job to, getting in and climbing that mountaintop and winning the national championship. You couldn't write a movie script with something like that in it. So as much as it pains me, I was a little happy to see Bianco finally get it done.
Look, that's a crazy story, and we're not going to spend a lot of time on it because we've done this for 2 weeks now talking about the Bianco drama. But, for him, too, he interviews at LSU last year and is not offered the job. That turned everybody off in Oxford who were already sour about the fact that he had been there for 20 years and had been to Omaha one time. And then you start the season like they did this year where you have all this expectation and you're just embarrassed. Tennessee went into Oxford in a matchup of 1 versus 2 and embarrassed them for 3 straight days. Alabama came in there and swept them in Oxford. And, I think you're never going to totally turn off the portion of the LSU fan base that demands excellence every single weekend on the baseball field. That's just the way they wired. They think that we're going to win 5 and 10 every. That's just, if we don't, it's unacceptable. There's a portion of people that will always function that way. But I think this just provides another example that just because a couple of weeks don't go your way in March, April, May, that as long as you've got talent, it can turn around. And you wouldn't bet on it. You wouldn't bet on this Ole Miss team to win a national championship. You wouldn't even bet on it to get to Omaha. Yeah. But it's very possible when you've got as much talent as these teams in the Southeastern Conference do, and it looks like LSU is going to have for some time now. We'll talk about that in the next segment. But just a reminder, when things go south and you get swept on a weekend or lose 2 out of 3 to a team you don't think's very good, it's a long season. So that's my favorite sport. You get a chance, and you can cash it in. And Ole Miss cashed it in a big way last night. It was, it's interesting. I was sick. I was pulling for Oklahoma. I did not want any part of Ole Miss winning. But there's also a part of you that's watching it like, God, these people have been waiting this long for this thing, and they showed out, and their team was awesome. It was a storybook, deal for Mike Bianco to go from being fired to having the athletic director 3 weeks later say that you've got a lifetime contract at Ole Miss. I didn't want it to happen. I did not want Ole Miss to cash this thing in. Yeah. But it was cool to watch at the end when Ole Miss finally got that monkey off their back, and it's just so fascinating, the dichotomy there with the Mississippi State breaking through last year, having those bragging rights, puffing your chest, going to work every day. All right, Mississippi, we got a national shit. And Ole Miss fires right back and wins it 12 months later. That is, you can't write scripts quite like that. Ole Miss, the champions of college baseball. So now we turn the page to the next college baseball season, and LSU made some serious moves over the last 72 hours. We will talk about all of them next on Hunt and Hill.
Hunt Palmer and Jeremy Hill. It's Hunt and Hill.
Now I guess we officially looked at football season. Baseball's over. Yep. Right? There's nothing between us and football season now. And if you want to get involved in tailgating, but you don't know where to start, never had a parking pass, I don't know how to Revelry can handle it for you. They are turnkey tailgating. They will take care of all the dirty work for you so you can just enjoy your time. It's just 3 blocks from Tiger Stadium, right outside Patrick F. Taylor. And Jeremy will tell you, they'll set you up nice.
Yeah, so I have to tell you about Revelry's full-service turnkey tailgating with their standard package. Their standard package has 25 to 30 people in capacity, a 10 by 20 high-peak tent, 3 coolers with all-day ice service, electricity hookups, all-day concierge, bellhop service, all-day trash service, and they also do a post-tailgate cleanup.
That bellhop service is so cool. You bring your stuff out in your car, whether it's big pot for cooking or whether it's your beverages or whatever it may be. You load them up on the golf cart, and Revelry will transport them and set everything up. That's what they're there for. It is luxury tailgating. It is turnkey tailgating. If you're the guy that runs your tailgate every single year and you love getting there at 6 o'clock in the morning, setting everything up and making it all happen, you can do that. That's what makes LSU great. But if you don't have that kind of experience or the desire to do that, you just want to show up and enjoy your time, Revelry is your answer. Check them out at revelryteam.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
And this year, 2022, it's time to finally treat yourself. Bring your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service. You want the latest and greatest marine technology? You want to go to the place that has not one, but 2 NMEA-certified techs. Family-owned and operated by the Sherman family for 30 years. Front-to-back is the answer in Baton Rouge for all of your custom boat needs. So head to fronttobackboatservice.com or find them on Facebook, Front to Back Boat Service.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Visit Acura of Baton Rouge for attractive offers on the MD.
So join us for Monday's AFR presented by Relief Windows. Matt is back in the host chair. He's recapping everything he missed while on vacation and previewing the week ahead. It's Monday's AFR, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I ask all the time in having discussions with LSU baseball fans, kind of what is the job of the LSU baseball coach? What is the expectation of the LSU baseball coach? And everyone's answer is a little bit different. And mine is always, you need to put a product out there far more often than not that is capable of being a top 8 national seed. And that's the most important thing for me. And then the results have to follow. It's easier to me as a baseball coach to control roster building than it is the results over 18 innings of baseball. 56 games speaks more to me than 2. That's just the way I'm wired. And some people don't agree with that. They think if you lose to Stony Brook or Coastal Carolina over a weekend, that you're a failure. And like that's one way to look at it. I'm not saying that's wrong. I just don't look at it that way. I'm more about continuing to put a great roster together, and eventually you keep knocking on that door and good things will happen. There's just so much volatility over 2 baseball games. It's just very difficult for me to blame a lot on coaching. So it's about roster building. It's about running the program. That's why I was so impressive when Paul Mainieri put together that stretch of 6 straight national seeds. And this far through, I guess, how long has he been on the job? 12 months now? Yeah, 12 months. Jay Johnson's roster building is impressive. And they went and did it again over the weekend. Tommy White and Christian Little were announced as transfer portal additions to the LSU baseball program over the weekend. And that's 2 years in a row LSU's gone and gotten the National Freshman of the Year to come to LSU. The best young player in the sport to come to LSU. Last year, of course, Jacob Berry. That's coming from where Jay Johnson was. This is going to get the biggest fish in the pond with Tommy White from NC State. He was absolutely brilliant in his first year at NC State. He started 55 games, mainly a designated hitter, but he also played a little bit of first and third. He hit .362 with 27 home runs and 74 runs driven in. This guy is one hell of a hitter.
Oh, yeah, he definitely is. And I think, the thing you see as soon as you watch him, he has power to all field. He can hit the ball to center field. He can hit the ball to right field. He has a ton of power, and he bats for a high percentage as well, too. So it's amazing, Coach Johnson, to go out there and look across the country and find one of the guys in college baseball history. You can't find many freshman seasons that has been, this productive. And so to get 2 more years from this guy, I think it's huge. You're not going to have him for just this year. You're going to have him for another year after that, too. So getting him to come to Baton Rouge, I think it's huge for Jay Johnson. And now it creates a problem in the infield where now you got to move some guys around. But it's a great problem to have if you're Jay Johnson.
He broke the NC State freshman home run record on April the 20th.
Yeah.
In the middle of April, he broke that record. He went on to set the national freshman home run record with 27 of them. And as you mentioned, Jeremy, like the ability to stay inside the ball and drive it the other way is phenomenal. And it's just there are a lot of guys that can hit homers to the pull side, but when you can let balls travel and drive it the other way, like we see Dylan Cruz do so often, that means you're just a really, really good hitter. And do I expect him to hit 27 home runs next year? Probably not. That's a lot to ask. But he's going to be a significant power threat in the middle of LSU's lineup. And look, you're trying to replace Barry and Doty, and that's a lot of power and a lot of run production. White pretty much immediately, solves one of your issues. Now, you mentioned problems on the infield, and they're going to have a crowded infield. There's no doubt. Jordan Thompson is back. And then you look at Trey Morgan as a first baseman. Can Tommy White play third? We'll see. They'll probably work him there in the fall and just kind of see what it looks like. I don't know if he's okay DHing. Some guys are, some guys aren't. Hurts your draft status. Just go out there and DH. So we'll see if he can play third base. You obviously got some shortstops in this class that are super talented. I don't think Tucker Toman gets here, but we'll see if Mikey Romero and Gavin Guidry show up. Those guys are infielders as well. Gavin Dugas could still come back. He's a guy that's been rumored to be working a little bit in the infield. They got a lot of guys. They're trying to fit a lot of places on the infield, and so it'll take a fall to kind of shake that all out. But he's going to be a huge piece of this team. I personally want him hitting right behind Dylan Cruz. Cruz led the team in walks this past year. You want to walk him, want to walk the best hitter in the country. The next guy might hit it off the scoreboard. That's what I want in this lineup. I think it makes too much sense.
Oh, yeah, it definitely does. And I think, we didn't even mention the transfer portal, Pineda from Baylor.
Yeah.
So I think that's
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's another guy you're going to have in the infield. So I think, to me, if you're a manager, these are the problems you want to be having. You want to have a surplus of talent where you can move around and mix and match and, have multiple ways of trying to attack this season. But I think getting Tommy Tanks to this team, I think, it definitely soothes the woe of losing Barry and Doty. Now you got a guy that you feel really great about having a ton of power in the middle of this lineup, and that's exactly what you're losing with losing those two guys.
Would you move Trey Morgan off first base?
Yeah, I would. I think so. I think especially going into next season with him being healthy, finally, I can't wait to see him without that big knee brace on. And I think you can put him into his natural position. I think, going forward to minor league and Major League Baseball, I think he's got to be looked at as an outfielder, especially a guy, getting his speed back underneath him. I would love to see him out there, and I think that creates a world where you can have Morgan, Pearson, and Cruz in the outfield. And I really, really love that outfield for a lot of reasons.
I would not move him off first base if possible. I want to see Tommy White play third. Jacob Berry improved at third base over the course of a season and didn't really hurt you at all down the stretch. He made an error at Vanderbilt, but didn't hurt you after that. No, he didn't play in that Vanderbilt series. So no, it was before that. He was good down the stretch defensively. I would like to see White try to play third. I want Morgan over there at first. He's a game changer. He saves runs. He creates outs over there at first base. So I would like to see him there. We'll see if Josh Stevenson can find a spot in the outfield. You know that Pearson and Cruz are going to be out there. The question is, who's the third guy? Is it Morgan? Is it Joe Bear? If he comes back, is it Stevenson? Do they have one of these guys coming in to win a spot from the signing class? That's very possible. But I would be hesitant to move Trey Morgan off first base. So a lot of competition going to be out there in the fall this year with Jay Johnson's squad. One of the guys that will be pitching to these guys in the fall, will be pitching on the team, is Christian Little from Vanderbilt. And this is a name that we've talked about a lot over the last week and a half or so. The talent here is jarring. He was a top 5 high school right-hander in the nation coming out of high school, and was very much a draft risk when he decided to go to Vanderbilt. And over 2 years, he's been good at Vanderbilt. Not dominant, has not really been a starter, although he did start 11 games in his freshman season and did in Omaha. But the strikeout numbers have always been big. As a freshman, 49 and 42 2/3. This past year, 46 in 38 innings. It's because the fastball's got a ton of ride to it. It's 95, 96, and the slider can be really good. Now, LSU knocked him all over the yard, scored 6 runs on him,
Yeah.
and knocked him all over the place. But I went back and watched some highlights. He finished off Vanderbilt's combined no-hitter against Kentucky, and it was nasty that day. He's got that high leg kick, ball just absolutely explodes out of his hand. You're trying to load this staff up with talented arms.
Yeah.
They were a little light on talent this past year in pitching, had to do it with some guys that aren't necessarily high-round draft picks. This guy projects as a high-round draft pick. I don't know if he's a bullpen guy. I don't know if he's a weekend starter, but he's a 95, 96-mile-an-hour arm with a nasty slider. You make room for it.
Yeah, I think some guys just have stuff, and sometimes the numbers and the ERAs don't support that. But I think for a guy like Christian Little, when you watch him pitch, he has stuff. And I think when he's going and he's feeling right, And especially for a younger guy, he has the stuff that can miss bats and get guys out. And I think for Coach Johnson, he has a great eye for talent. And you watch that guy pitch the baseball, I think he can get going. And I think he's getting, under the right tutelage, like I think Coach Johnson just figured out too. I think he can go in the right direction. I think he's a guy that can definitely contribute in this pitching rotation next year.
For sure. So brought in Dylan TeBrock, and then you bring in Christian Little. You are bringing in some really talented, high-velocity arms into this pitching program. And you know what? I've got to coach him because Jason Kelly is going to Washington. And kind of some shockwaves sent through Major League Baseball yesterday as in the middle of a season, the first place Minnesota Twins are without a pitching coach because Wes Johnson is coming to Baton Rouge from Minnesota. Bunch of the guys found out on the charter flight. He was on the charter flight playing cards, and the announcement was made that he was coming to LSU. I've laughed at some of the Major League Baseball reporters who were like blown away by this, but you start to look at it, and he's making $350K with the Twins, and the rumors are that he's getting a significant pay raise to come to LSU and being a pitching coach. Personally, not my money. I love the commitment to it. Bring the guy in. He's had a ton of success as a pitching coach at Mississippi State and Arkansas, good enough to make the leap to the big leagues from college, which had not happened in decades before he did it. And now he's headed back to the college game.
Yeah, it just lets you see the program that LSU is, just having those three letters on college baseball and having a guy at the highest level of baseball that you can get to. So, you know what, I'm going to take my challenge back down a level. Just let you see, the program that, Coach Bergman and, Coach Maneri's built here, and then now Coach Johnson is taking that torch, and he's really carrying it at a high level. And I think if you're going to go get a pitching coach, why not go find a guy who has, experience at the college level, like you said, but who's at the major league level and has seen it up there too, which I think can really, really help this pitching staff going forward.
I wanted to see what the Arkansas fans thought. Went over to the Arkansas message boards. They had glowing remarks for Wes Johnson. I mean, to the point where a lot of people were saying, I wish he was going to be the guy that succeeds Dave Van Horn and runs the entire program. They love what he did in Fayetteville during his fairly brief stay up there on the Hill. I think this is a really, really good hire. This is a guy who's got skins on the wall. He's done it in this conference. Obviously, is thought of very highly enough to go to the major leagues, and then to leave there midseason is a power move. I don't really know which way to tell you. Is it some sort of earth-shattering thing that's shifted the entire balance of power in the sport? No. But is it impressive to go take a sitting professional pitching coach off the team plane, go into Cleveland and in first place and have him come and coach LSU's pitchers? I think it's a big deal.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I think, when you lose a guy like Coach Kelly, we talk to him week in and week out. We know what type of guy he is. We know the type of things he were doing with his pitching staff last year, to see Top Floyd and some of the things he did to get him better. That's a huge hole that Coach Johnson had to fill. And I thought going and doing that and finding a guy at the highest level, I thought was huge for this program. And I think it's definitely going to help recruiting going forward. And I'm excited, man. I think, I'm kind of feeling a little Texas A&M-ish. I'm getting excited about guys coming in, good players coming in.
That's where we're at.
Coaches. It's been a long time, so let's get this game back going. So I get these Texas A&M feel out of me, man. What are we doing?
You were telling me you don't think that old Jay's done in the transfer portal?
Oh no, I don't think so at all. I think he's continuing to do the work that I have trust in him to do, and I think by the time he's done, this team is going to be scary going into next year.
Look, this is an evergreen talking point and will be while the rules remain the same. This thing with the transfer portal in college baseball is going to be massively, massively beneficial to LSU because there just aren't that many options and places to go where you can play on this level. In college football, you can go to the Pac-12. You can go to the Big Ten. In college baseball, it's pretty much the SEC and a few ACC schools and a couple Big 12 schools. And every really good player can funnel that way. And LSU still carries a huge name. It's just the way that it is. And you've got a very aggressive coach who's got a great reputation, who is a relentless recruiter. This is going to happen every single year. LSU is going to go to the transfer portal and get big-name players from big-name schools because you just have an offering that not many people can offer. I mean, nobody out west can offer you the SEC network and 10,000 people in the stands most weekends, home or away. They can't, and that's why you're seeing, Vanderbilt having guys come to LSU and NC State having guys come to LSU. It's It's unbelievable. So I'm getting some of a question in the transfer portal from Lewis in the Bayou Ford chat about the transfer portal. Lewis Caro says, what's the latest with Hurd? Thatcher Hurd's the big right-hander from UCLA. Kendall Rogers mentioned that he thought LSU was a potential landing point there. He's had some significant back issues, missed the back half of the season. I haven't heard anything updated on him. I've seen the tape when he's healthy, and it is real stuff. And I think he would be a great add if he's healthy. I don't know what the latest is on him yet. So we'll just kind of keep you posted as things move forward. That's really the biggest storyline around here until we get media days in a few weeks is going to be baseball transfers and the MLB draft. So we'll spend a lot of time talking about a lot of those guys. So it's a good day to be an LSU Fighting Tiger baseball fan, and they're going to have a really, really good team next year. Just depends how good based on how the next couple of weeks go with that Major League Baseball draft. But you got a pitching coach that a lot of people wanted. So big news over the weekend for LSU baseball, and pumped to sit here talking about it. Speaking of recruiting, not going so well in Gainesville. Talk about the developing situation over there next on Hunt and Hill.
Hold down the middle of the day. This is Hunt and Hill. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
My own people call me an Uncle Tom. I play music. Been wined and dined by royalty. Trying to bring people together. All people. But regardless of all that kind of stuff, I'm still Louis Armstrong.
Here's the man you're waiting for, the king of jazz, Louis Satchmo Armstrong.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her Auctioner primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an Auctioner care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioner Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
If you're in an accident, a car accident, a slip and fall where you're injured, you need to call an attorney. The defendant insurance company, it's their goal to close the case as quickly as possible and pay out the least amount of money as possible. That's why it's important to call an attorney and call the law office of O.C. Brown.
At the law office of O.C. Brown, we're a family-owned firm. We want to be your law firm for a lifetime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Master Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Master Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Poor boy raised amid turn-of-the-century New Orleans, Louis Armstrong became one of the most recognizable people on Earth. Visit dropbiscuit.com today and check out the trailer to our first original series, Pops, The Louis Armstrong Story, starring Reno Wilson. Subscribe today. Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Lot to chew on the recruiting front over the weekend. The biggest news in recruiting over the weekend was that Jaden Rashada, big 5-star quarterback, committed to Miami. Outside of that, there have been reports everywhere with astronomical sums of money that are attached to this recruitment. There are reports that Miami offered him $9.5 million. There are reports that Florida offered him $11 million, and he went elsewhere. There are reports that it's closer to $1 million. Look, John Ruiz is running the collective down there in Gainesville, and he's been pretty out front with how much money he's throwing around for basketball players and football players and all that. And then you've got Michael Caspino, who is an attorney from Newport Beach, California, that's kind of representing a lot of high school athletes as far as their NIL stuff goes. So what's the most interesting part of this to you before we get to Billy Napier penning an open letter to Gators fans, basically apologizing for being bad at recruiting right now? But as far as the Rashada stuff goes, what perks your ears up?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much turning into NFL free agency, except now imagine a world where all the top, high-end quarterbacks are available every single offseason, and that's what you're going to have every single recruiting class with the top quarterbacks in the country. It's going to be a frenzy for, people trying to get their hands on some of these kids because we know how much that moves the needle in college sports. So if you have a Joe Burrow on your team, or if you have a Deshaun Watson, or if you have a Trevor Lawrence, that's going to move the needle a ton. So I think that's no different than this situation with Rashada. All these top 10 programs with NIL being quote-unquote legal, you're going to have an arms race to get their hands on some of these quarterbacks. So I think that's exactly what happened with Miami. I definitely think there was an NIL deal agreed upon with that Rashada situation. Let's just say that.
The amount of leverage these high school and then college athletes have is truly remarkable at this point. You're talking about being able to become a free agent every year. I mean, when you get drafted in the NFL or Major League Baseball, you got a contract you've got to fulfill. There's none of that here. It's the money and the freedom and nothing holding you back. It is truly a brand new world. There's nothing stopping Jaden Rashada from playing this year at Miami, stepping right into the transfer portal and open up for name, image, and likeness one more time. And then doing it again the third year. Like you could, I don't know that that's going to happen everywhere all the time, but it's a massively leveraged spot for these high school players. It's a brave new world.
Yeah, it definitely is, and it's a world. I think we kind of maybe thought there could be like that, but I think with now being just open in the out front, the open, and the whole world can talk about it. Anyone can talk about it. I think it's just going to get crazier and crazier. I think, as other positions going to go on, I don't think there's going to be a situation kind of like Saban's accusing Texas A&M of. You're paying every single player. But I think year in and year out, the top, 5 to 7 quarterbacks in the country, you're going to see universities dump out a lot of money in NIL dollars to get their hands on some of these kids. And I think the situation is no different.
Look, Caspino, this attorney, brokered an $8 million deal for a 5-star recruit. The thought in the industry is that is Tennessee quarterback Nico Iamaleava. I'm not sure how to say that, but either way, $8 million for a high school quarterback. It's crazy, and I just A&M can do this all day. Texas can do this all day long. I'm curious how many $8 million players LSU can afford.
I think each guy, I think it's dependent on the situation, but I think if there's a world where you have someone on campus that falls in love with one of these kids, and I think it's at a position of need, I think you'll see it. I think if there's a number, especially for Arch, if he said, hey, I would love to go to LSU if this is a number y'all could get to, I'm pretty sure they could find a way to get that money together to make sure he comes here. So, yeah, I don't think LSU is going to be too far behind in this whole thing. I think especially if there's a guy that definitely wants to come here, I think they can find a way to make it happen.
So Rashada picks Miami over Florida, basically, and Billy Napier pins an open letter to Florida fans. And the entirety of the letter is talking about the new facility they have and the great relationships they're making and how wonderful it is to be a Gator and how they're going to be an organization built with class and integrity and discipline and all this kind of stuff. But basically, if you translate the letter, it's, yeah, I know that if you look at the recruiting rankings, we suck right now. However, there's a lot of great stuff coming. Just bear with me. I mean, that's basically what the letter said. What did you make of this?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think that normally trends in a good thing. If I'm a Gator fan, if I'm in that program, or if I'm a recruit, I'm like, I don't know if I love that. So, yeah, I think for me, I'm loving to seeing my boy getting all desperate. He hasn't even played a game yet. You're already sending out letters. That's never a good sign if you ask me. So, yeah, I kind of like seeing this from my boy Napier over there.
Look, I mean, the tape doesn't lie. When LSU's job came open, I said, I think number one on my list is Billy Napier. And he wanted this job badly, but Scott Woodward had eyes elsewhere, got Brian Kelly, and Napier took the Florida job. It was the next best one. It's how big a deal it is to LSU really depends on what they do with the schedule moving forward. It's possible that LSU won't play Florida every year anymore as a permanent opponent once they redo the schedule. But that's a huge factor for LSU if you play them every year, obviously. The other piece of this is if Florida starts to get some momentum with Billy Napier over there and with Corey Raymond over there and with Jabbar Jalouk over there, if they start to build some momentum, can they come in here and start getting some players? So we know that Jimbo Fisher is going to come into Louisiana and recruit hard. We know that Nick Saban's been here for more than a decade recruiting the state really hard. And Florida had not been a real threat in this state. I mean, Gerald Willis ended up going there, but that was really the only guy that I can recall that was in the state that LSU wanted that ended up at Florida. Whether or not Billy Napier is successful may dictate whether or not he's able to come to Louisiana and poach some recruits. To this point, that hasn't happened yet, but I'm all for the bottom falling out in Gainesville. We're a long way from that. He hadn't coached a single game yet, but it was just an interesting little measure to go out there and try to make everybody feel better with an open letter during recruiting season.
Look, it looks like he's trying to make a landing pad if the season doesn't go quite correct already apologizing. But, hey, I think as long as you're at Florida and with everything Coach Meyer built over there, you're going to have it. If you can just start winning games, you can start recruiting. And then if you're not, passive about throwing out some NIL money, especially being in the SEC, I think you're always going to be there. If you're Florida, they have that brand, but it's going to be up to Coach Napier to go out there and win some games. And if he can do that, then, yeah, I can see Florida back to recruiting at a high level.
It's a finicky fan base over there in Gainesville. Mm-hmm. They one, you have to win, but two, they want you to win very pretty, because when Spurrier was winning, it was pretty. And when Urban was winning, it was pretty. Muschamp got to the Sugar Bowl, but it was ugly, and people hated it. And then he started losing, and then you're out. Jim McElwain got to 2 straight SEC championship games. They didn't like that at all because it wasn't as pretty as they wanted it. They want it to be pretty and effective, and we'll see if Billy Napier is the guy. But I thought it was fascinating that he's writing letters already. It's a little early for that, Billy, but we'll see how year one goes in the swamp. We're close to getting to start talking some football at this point. It's right around the corner. Media Day is just in a couple of weeks. Take a time out, back and close out hour number 1. It's Hunt and Hill.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge with Hunt and Hill.
LWCC is Louisiana loyal, and together with us here at Guarantee Media, they are elevating and celebrating their champions of Louisiana. And all month long, we've been telling you about Four Sisters Rice.
Yeah, so happy to tell you guys about Four Sisters Rice. Four Sisters Rice is taking a little grain and making a big difference in the world. They're located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. This family-owned rice company has been an economic driver in their region since their father founded the Kennedy Rice Mill. The Four Sisters launched the company to provide good food to families across Louisiana and beyond. Food is more than what you put on a plate. It nourishes your soul. The Four Sisters are changing the face of agriculture with 4 female owners and open up the possibility for future female farmers.
If you want to learn more about Four Sisters Rice, their great story and their great product, you can go to foursistersrice.com and check them out. They are this month's champion of Louisiana, presented by LWCC, who is Louisiana Loyal.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
My own people call me an Uncle Tom. I play music. Been wined and dined by royalty. Trying to bring people together. All people. But regardless of all that kind of stuff, I'm still Louis Armstrong.
Here's the man you're waiting for, the king of jazz, Louis Armstrong.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
We got Charles Handegriff in Roscoe live from Spoken Hub, the Monday evening edition of Game Time presented by Bet Rivers. Do we have a Game 3 in the College World Series Championship Series? Talk about that, recap of the draft, and everything else. Game Time presented by Bet Rivers, 6 to 8 p.m. on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Glenn West will be with us in about 20 minutes from now at 1:15. He was down at the Manning Passing Academy. Get some of his thoughts on that. Interviewed Miles Brennan, interviewed Max Johnson. So we'll talk to Glenn about that as well as some LSU baseball stuff. So Glenn West, 247 Sports, will be with us at 1:15. Of course, Jeremy's lead toss will kick off hour number 2. But I wanted to close up hour number 1 here. Something came across my feed this morning. I was like, that's not something I expected to read. Kyrie Irving, very much looking at a destination in L.A. with the Lakers. Have to work out a sign and trade if they can't get in the long-term extension figured out. Durant sitting here flapping in the breeze. Kyrie's leveraging everybody. Going to figure out what he's going to do on Wednesday in terms of his option, which is $36.5 million. What are you thinking about Kyrie? Does he fit in L.A.? Does that work? I mean, what do we –
Oh, man. Look, I think, trying to predict when the next meteor is going to strike is probably be more accurate than trying to predict Kyrie. But I think with his situation – I think it's a situation with a lot of NBA players. They want those max dollars, and they want them right now. And I think for Kyrie, he's needling the Nets to get that max dollars as quickly as possible. But if you're the Nets, I think you've been in a situation where you've kind of, shown a strong hand and not shown a strong hand. So it's created a world where Kyrie can kind of, figure he can do what he wants. And so
he always does what he wants.
So I think for an organization, that's the last spot you want to be in. But this is going to be a situation where I think goes down to the last draw. I think Kyrie's probably going to opt in if I'm him. I don't see a world where he opts out and forfeits all that money. And so then it's going to create, situations for the Nets where they have to decide if they're going to extend him or if they're going to, let him play out this one-year deal. But I think if you're the Nets, there's no way you let that happen without getting any compensation back. So it's going to be crazy, man. I think, you look at a situation with Kyrie where he's been traded not once but twice and now working on a third time. That's one common denominator in all this situation. It has to be my boy Uncle Drew. So hopefully he can find a home, but it's just looking like I don't know. I don't think it'll be in Brooklyn.
I can't think of two guys who have strong-armed organizations more than Kyrie and LeBron. I mean, maybe Harden has done a little bit of that as well. It's kind of the era that we live in. But, like, Kyrie and LeBron, match made in heaven, those two guys who just can constantly and just kind of wield their power and get things done the way they want them done. They don't listen to anybody. They do what they want to do all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I think you get to that level, you hit that big game winner in Game 7, I think, Kyrie, and I think, you put yourself in a world where you feel like you're one of the best players on the planet, and I think a lot of guys handle it differently. Some guys just show up to work and just want to play basketball and love basketball, but if you listen to Mr. Uncle Drew, basketball isn't the number one priority, and so if you're an organization about to get this guy $50 million a year, and that's not your number one priority, it creates a sticky situation for everyone. So that's just the world Kyrie's been living in, and I think for NBA franchises, that's the exact last thing they want.
If I was Kyrie's agent, I might just tap him on the shoulder and say, hey, just don't say stuff like that. Like, just don't say stuff like that. Is it that hard? I mean, is it that hard? He's just constantly gets up there, makes a scene, says something he's not supposed to say, says something about somebody. It's constant with him. If he went to LA and he played with LeBron, what happens to AD? Like, would your confidence be restored, or are you still going to be out?
Oh man, look, we had the Russell Westbrook experience. Now we're gonna bring Kyrie into town. Like, oh my goodness, like I don't know if my heart can handle this, man. Like, I would love a world if we can just keep AD and LeBron and just get some like actual good, nice role players beside them. I that's how we won it the first time. I think we go back to that a little bit. I think Kyrie sweepstakes. Ooh, that's a lot of personalities, man. I don't know how that's going to work out for a whole season.
Never a dull day in the NBA. That's for certain. There's never a dull day. They're not as good as the NFL at staying like relevant all year long. I mean, there's always something in the NFL. They go from the Super Bowl into, kind of draft prep, and you've got the draft, you got mini camp, OTAs, schedule release pops up out of nowhere. Like they're always involved. And the NBA is almost to that point with as much as they can create drama with their contracts and with the offseason and all that kind of stuff. And Kyrie seems to find himself in the middle of it quite often. So we'll see what the next move is. Adrian Wojnarowski wrote the story on ESPN today that was talking about whether or not Kyrie will stick in Brooklyn. If I'm the Brooklyn Nets, by the way, I'm not catering to Kyrie's every turn. I'm making Durant happy. He's the guy that's a little more stable, and I feel like I can work around. But now they're trying to work with Kyrie, and Durant's over here, as I said, like flapping in the breeze, like, hey, you want to do something with me here? So we'll see how all that stuff kind of shakes out and works out. If you missed anything today in the first hour, on demand, 1045ESPN.com. Just click the on demand tab, click Hunt and Hill. It's all there every single day. We also have Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Any place that you consume your content, you can find it all there. We'd really appreciate it if you'd subscribe to the channel, if you would throw us a review, rating. All that stuff very much helps us. In the first hour, we open things up talking Ole Miss baseball. The Rebs are the national champions. I explained at the beginning why it's all Kennesaw State's fault, which I still believe. I'm going to hold on to that thought process. We talked Tommy White, Christian Little, and Wes Johnson, all the big additions to the LSU baseball program over the weekends. We talked about that at 12:15. Billy Napier is already writing letters to the Florida fans. We talked about that at 12:30. If you missed it, go check it out on demand. Big time second hour coming at you here on a Monday. Glenn West will be with us at 1:15 talking Manning Passing Academy. I thought some of the things that Max Johnson had to say were kind of interesting, and Miles Brennan was out there throwing the ball around. So we'll talk to Glenn West about what he saw down there. And Glenn covers the LSU baseball team too, so I want to see what he thinks about some of these additions to the roster, so we'll do that at 1:15. Jeremy's got the lead toss coming up to kick off hour number 2. I've gone through some of the notes. I have some thoughts, and it's pretty relevant to those of you who love LSU baseball. So we'll toss things over to Jeremy here at the top of hour number 2. Hope your Monday is getting along just fine, and we're helping you there with you for another hour. Come back with us. It's a Monday edition of Hunt and Hill.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
And this year, 2022, it's time to finally treat yourself. Bring your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service. You want the latest and greatest marine technology? You want to go to the place that has not one, but 2 NMEA-certified techs. Family-owned and operated by the Sherman family for 30 years, Front-to-Back is the answer in Baton Rouge for all of your custom boat needs. So head to fronttobackboatservice.com or find them on Facebook, Front-to-Back Boat Service.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Visit Acura of Baton Rouge for attractive offers on the MDX.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Hunt and Hill. Hunt Palmer, Jeremy Hill, holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, it's Hunt and Hill. Now on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Out on the open field here on a Monday edition of Hunt and Hill. Glad y'all are hanging out with us. Had a busy first hour. Glenn West will be with us in 15 minutes talking Manning Passing Academy as well as some LSU baseball. But as is customary to kick off hour number one, we will hand Jeremy the lead toss.
The lead toss.
Hill trying to go to the outside, turns it upfield, and he breaks it into the clear. He's down to the 10. He's still going. Touchdown, Jeremy Hill.
The lead toss to Jeremy Hill.
Hill to the 20. Hill to the 10. The MVP is in the end zone for LSU. Touchdown, Tigers.
Here's the lead toss to Jeremy Hill.
Now, with our neighbors in Mississippi winning a championship and our other neighbors winning a championship the year before, I thought it was perfect time in Baton Rouge to up the ante. And when I talk about up in the ante, I mean up in the ante of Alex Box. And it's been a long time. You know, we've been the new Alex Box for a little minute now here. I think it's time for some upgrades. And so I think looking at it being at the ballpark, I think we've talked about it in the Value for Chat. Looking at Duty Noble, looking around the SEC, looking at some of these other places, I think the program's earned it. I think it's time, and so I think the first order of business, and I think Coach Johnson has done this, and I think you're going to see it next year. And I think it's moving the bullpens. I think that's something that it should have been happening for a long time. Player safety, and there's a million other reasons why we should. I think just being out there in the ballpark, I think it just looks better. And so for me, I think the first order of business would be doing that. How do you feel about getting the bullpens moved?
Yeah, Jay's big on that, and I think that's going to happen. It's a safety issue. I mean, you just got outfielders running full speed, and then the ground in front of them becomes a mound, and you can get hurt over there, and that's just not something that Jay wants to do. So I think that they're likely to move the bullpens somewhere beyond a fence so that there's flat ground all the way through foul territory. I'm all for that. I think that's great. I think that's going to happen.
Okay, great. Okay, this is the big one, and I think this is gonna maybe ruffle some feathers. Maybe some people are gonna be, excited about it. But I think it's time we move the Intimidator. I think it's time to get that moved out the way, and it's time to kind of steal something from our good friends at Mississippi State. And I think it's time to build something that's an attraction, something that gets fans intrigued, something that gets people going, something that gets a reason to go to Alex Box. And I think putting those condos out in the outfield will be amazing. Now, right now, there's just a nice little parking lot behind Alex Box right now. But I think if you can put something like that, nice view over Alex Box, if you got a nice balcony, at the bottom, the nice community pool in the outfield, I think that'd be a beautiful setup for Alex Box. And it'd be great. I think you got to get your investment back. So if you're worried about that, you get those years and years of people putting in, rent month to month, you'll get that back over time. So I think it's about time we do something like that. What do you think about that?
That's a big ask. Condos are a big ask. Now, that works really well in Starkville because no one lives in Starkville. When you come in for a Mississippi State baseball weekend, like you're coming in from out of town. A lot of people live in Baton Rouge. It's not a college town. It's a city with a college in it. So the demand is not necessarily as big as it would be in Mississippi State. Plus, it costs a fortune. So that would be a big ask. And while we're on this topic, basketball is going to get the next chunk of change thrown at it before baseball does, in my opinion. That's kind of, I've looked at some surveys that basketball's done and whatnot, so I think they're going to make some improvements over there. So none of this is very imminent. But as far as creating something that's an attraction, I totally agree with that. The downfall of the box is the metal bleachers in the outfield. And they're freezing cold in February and March. They're just roaring hot in regionals in June. It's just not a comfortable experience. It's just not good. And to create something different, I think would be great, whether that's some sort of party deck. I mean, it's hard to build a berm. But if you look around the league, Mississippi State has got obviously those condos and whatnot in the outfield. And Ole Miss has a family area in left field with picnic tables and grills and whatnot. And then they've got the students in right field, and they bring their own chairs, and they create a great environment out there. Florida just did something similar. They've got some chairs out behind the outfield fence that you can sit in. Texas A&M's got a grassy kind of hill area that you can go hang out on. And I think that's what I would love to see LSU do, whether it's take all those bleachers out in right field and create some sort of like party deck where you kind of have like food and drink, and you can bring chairs or whatnot, and you can kind of roam around, kind of like they do on the top of the south end zone, that kind of skyline club in football. I don't know what that costs. I don't know what the infrastructure needs to be behind there. That's way out of my league. But some sort of different fan experience, I think, would be really good, as opposed to just, hey, here's some metal bleachers, have a seat.
Yeah, I think that was my next order of business. I think you got to move the bleachers from the outfields. And I was thinking, I don't know, like you said, I'm not a construction major, I'm not an architect or anything like that, but if there is a world where you could connect, the stands from obviously the left field line and the right field line, and bring something that wraps around into the outfield, and maybe have a pavilion up there or something like that, maybe have more concessions back there, just something different than the old school, bleachers like we have at our regular high school series. I think, the box deserves that upgrade. It's been a long time. And I think the other thing for me, when you're at the box, you're watching the games. I know we got the biggest, Jumbotron in the country right now, but I would love a, TV copy of the game while it's going on, just so you can get those angles of the pitches. If someone's throwing a, Big 12-6, you would love to see that depending on where you're sitting. So I think that's, to me, when I'm watching the game there, they could figure out a way to put the TV copy on while the game's going. I think that'd be cool. What do you think about that?
I don't know. Do they do that in big league parks? I can't remember. I mean, the last one I was in was obviously in Houston. I'll be at Wrigley in a couple weeks. I obviously don't have it at Wrigley because they got the big old school scoreboard. But I don't know if they do that. That's not a terrible idea if that's the case. One thing I did disagree with what you said, not getting rid of the Intimidator, man. That's 6 titles on that thing. We just got to get a new paint job next June after we win number 7. But I like the Intimidator.
Okay. No, I mean, I think, to me, I was just get something else out there. So if you put something else out there, there's nowhere else for you to put that thing. But yeah, I definitely think you got to have the titles somewhere. You got to have the title somewhere. It doesn't have to be on Intimidator. We'll see. But yeah, you got to have the title somewhere for sure.
As far as the outfield seating goes, I mean, I don't know if the answer is putting students out there in sort of environment, making some sort of premium seating available out there. Again, this is all just spitballing because it's summer and it's kind of the stuff that we can do. But there's a lot of people that are doing a lot of things on the baseball side of things that LSU's not doing. And when LSU built this thing, it was the best in the nation. It was 2009 when they opened it. So it's been 13 years. And one thing I do want to point out as we continue to do this, the box is really, really good in terms of the LSU players' experience. They've got training rooms, they've got a great team room and video room, and they've got a locker room that's for the professionals when they come to get ready for spring training or they're rehabbing or something. They've got some great amenities. They've got a great facility down in the bowels of the box where they function day to day when you're not just talking about a baseball game. So LSU's not real far behind as far as that goes. It's just kind of the fan experience, and it's really just mainly the outfield fan experience, I think, that just is lacking a little bit.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think, when you think of Alex Box, you think of, just LSU, just sports in general. You think about the fans creating a ruckus environment, fans, creating an impact on the final outcome of a game. And I think, as we kind of seen, this season, it just hasn't been that same environment. I think, obviously, we would have hosted a super region. You would think that have changed. But I think, in the near future, it's time to think of something to, change about, what's been going on out there, especially with, kind of the buzz getting back with this baseball program. I think it's time. And I think I haven't been to the Champions Club or the press box or anything. Do you think there's any upgrades needed there, or it's pretty solid?
They function just fine. The press box is great. And the Champions Club functions just fine. I think people ask me all the time, like, why is baseball attendance down? Like, why is there, and it's very simple. Every game's on TV now. That just wasn't the case 8-9 years ago. If you wanted to see LSU baseball, you had to go to the game. That's not the case anymore. I could be out on my boat on the river watching the game on my phone. Like it's just you don't have to go anymore. They're all available at the palm of your hand, and that's just a different deal. And when you've got this many games, and it's just you've created a situation where people can do something else. And so I think, if we host a Super, that place will be packed. It'll be 10,000 in there. But more often than not, for an SEC game, you're going to look at 5,500. That's just kind of what it's going to be because everyone has access to the game. That is the biggest change in terms of baseball attendance. It's not winning and losing. It's not. It's the phone. It's the fact that you always have access to every single game. That's why attendance has been down.
Yeah, I would have to agree with a lot about that too. I think, especially as big as it is to get more exposure for some of the guys, I think that's where you kind of take the hit at. Not everyone can get to the box, and then now you put that as now I don't have to take that chance. I can just watch it on my phone. But I think all in all, it's a great experience. I think it's one of the more better experiences you're going to get in the country. But I do think in the near future, it's time for some upgrades, time for get some stuff going, get a little big buzz going, and try to get some more buzz back in the Alex box because I think that they're going to really put a really great product for the next coming years. I think so.
There were some cool idea concepts on the basketball survey for the Assembly Center of what they can do premium seating wise, how they can make the experience a little bit better than it currently is in the PMAC. I don't know, where they are in terms of deciding what to do or if they're going to do things where they are in terms of fundraising. But I do think that the next program to get a facelift is going to be the basketball programs with the PMAC. And I think you got one, you're driving the bus with men's basketball, but Kim Mulkey's driving the bus in women's basketball as well, and she's going to demand that kind of stuff too. So that stuff's going to happen. So I don't think there's any significant change to the box coming in the next couple of years. I do think they're going to move the bullpens, but as far as the seating and the general game experience, I think you're kind of getting what you get, which is one of the best in the country. But there's always somebody else doing something newer or bigger, and that makes you kind of a little bit jealous. And that's certainly what's going on in Starkville over the last couple of years. But we'll see. Jeremy, appreciate the lead toss there. Well done. We'll take a timeout. Come back with Glenn West to go 247. That's next on Hunt and Hill.
Hunt Palmer and Jeremy Hill. It's Hunt and Hill.
If you're thinking roofing, think Reliable Roofing and Construction.
Yeah, so happy to tell you guys about Reliable Roofing, a family-run, owned, and operated residential roofing company. They've been in business since 2008 with over 30 years of roofing experience.
They do such a great job. Lionel and Jared, the owners, born and raised in Baton Rouge, they visit every single job site once it is completed. If you want to see some of their fine work, go to Reliable Roofing LLC on Instagram, at Reliable Roofing LLC. They got 224 posts showing off their awesome work. They give you the highest quality of shingles. They're going to clean up and make that place spotless when they are done. And when that work is complete, you get a 5-year labor warranty on that roof. It's storm season. Make sure your roof is in good shape, and should something happen over the next couple of months, Reliable Roofing needs to be your first phone call. 10% off to all women, to all teachers and senior citizens. 10% off all teachers and senior citizens this summer in the Baton Rouge area. Check them out on their website, reliableroofingbr.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an Ochsner care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Ochsner Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
If you're in an accident, a car accident, a slip and fall where you're injured, you need to call an attorney. The defendant insurance company, it's their goal to close the case as quickly as possible and pay out the least amount of money as possible. That's why it's important to call an attorney and call the law offices of O.C. Brown.
At the law office of O.C. Brown, we're a family-owned firm. We want to be your law firm for a lifetime.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Tuesdays off the bench. The boys are back in town. That's right. Jake, T-Bow, Mari, Danny, all in studio as summer officially begins. I'll bring it in with the latest Saints and Tigers news. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I think I've kind of found something with this chair. If I sit on the edge, it gets me a little bit higher. It's still a little bit lower than I would like, but I think our chair problems have kind of been solved for now. So I'm easing in. We're good. I know everyone loves chair talk. It's one of the best content we do here on ESPN Baton Rouge, but I think I'm kind of figuring this thing out. We're in good shape. Glenn West, Go 247, joins us on the phone lines. Glenn, thanks for the time. How are you?
Hey, guys. Doing great. Just trying to catch up on all this exciting baseball news. I mean, how about that weekend, huh, Hunt?
Yeah, let's start there then. Look, I thought all along that Tommy White was headed back to his home state of Florida, and then I thought when Link Jarrett got that job at Florida State, I really thought there was a good chance that was going to be where Tommy White ended up. Turns out Jay Johnson's not taking no for an answer, and that's a pretty big add to that lineup.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just 27 home runs, 74 RBIs, hitting over 360 as a freshman. I mean, just an absolute tank as a hitter, which is why he has that nickname, I guess. But we'll be getting to know him very well here very shortly. I think having him in the mix there with Cruz and Morgan kind of gives you that same confidence at the top of the lineup that this last year's team did. And so I think the fact that you also get him for 2 years, obviously he has a couple of years left of eligibility before he can become draft eligible, which is what we all expect he'll do. But he's just a phenomenal talent and a really great coup there for Jay Johnson to kind of solidify this offensive star power.
So you bring in White. You mentioned you have Morgan. You've got Thompson. You've brought in Pineda as well. And you start to look around the infield. What if Gavin Guidry shows up or Mikey Romero shows up? How do you think the infield kind of shakes out next year as they start?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, I penciled in a couple of different rotations that I really like. I mean, I think Jay's been very confident and very supportive of Jordan Thompson, and I think it's going to be kind of hard until he doesn't have a spot for me to believe he won't be a part of this infield next season. But I kind of like the idea of Morgan at first, maybe Pineda at short, maybe Thompson at second, and White at third. And then obviously you can work in those freshmen if they do come, just based off of how the season progresses and what the kind of the need kind of comes up, as next spring shakes out. But that's just kind of a loose, kind of roster, I guess, prediction that I would have in terms of what that infield might look like next year.
What do you make of Christian Little's addition?
Huge. And I think, the fact that you obviously bring in, one of the best pitching coaches in all of baseball, obviously will help with his development, help with his transition here. A guy who can, really shove, 94, 95 miles an hour. Kind of started the year off a little rocky, but I think kind of like Ty Floyd did, kind of found a little bit of something in a bullpen role for Vanderbilt last year, and kind of showed some consistency towards the end of the season. So, I think that, it's a great pickup. Obviously, he's going to be in contention for a weekend spot, but man, just bringing in Wes Johnson is going to do wonders for this pitching staff and the kind of guys that they're able to bring in moving forward.
Yeah, you mentioned Coach Johnson being able to go get Wes Johnson. What do you make of him, making that hire? To me, it's never a good time to lose assistant coaches, but filling it in with a major league guy I thought was huge.
Oh, it was tremendous. If you just read some of the comments with the Twins reporters and some of the stories that have come out in the last 24 hours about him leaving a first team in their division right now in the Minnesota Twins to come here. Obviously, a very highly regarded coach and a guy who has a little bit of SEC experience as well with Arkansas and Mississippi State as their pitching coach for a couple of years. So just a tremendous addition. And, I think that obviously it significantly changes the kind of guys that LSU will be able to bring in moving forward. Because, if you're a high school prospect, if you're a transfer portal prospect, and you're looking around the country at various different spots you could land, just what's a better situation than a guy who just, spent the last 4 years of the major leagues, a guy who has SEC experience, than to coach you up at LSU. It's just a really tremendous opportunity, I would imagine, for a lot of pitchers.
Glenn West, Go247 Sports, is our guest. You were down in Thibodaux over the weekend, where the football world descends once a year, Manning Passing Academy. For those that have never been down there, what's the energy like down there?
Oh, it's honestly one of the more fascinating energies that you could possibly imagine. It's just a out in the middle of nowhere kind of place. It takes an hour to get to from Baton Rouge or from New Orleans, and kind of as you're driving through these podunk towns and everything, it really is just kind of crazy to think about. The amount of high-level quarterbacks and the obviously the football royalty that's the Mannings. That combine and converge on this 1 week of workouts and throwing sessions, and just a really, really tremendous atmosphere. I've gone a couple of years in a row now to their media day, and just a really well put together thing as well. And I got a chance to talk obviously with Miles Brennan. Max Johnson was there, and just a really, really incredible kind of atmosphere though.
What would you describe Miles Brennan's demeanor at this point?
I think it's one that of great perspective. He understands this is his last shot essentially to max out his potential here at LSU, a chance to go out a winner, a chance to be a full-time starter for a season here at LSU is something that's very, always been on his mind since walking in here as a true freshman in 2017. He was very, candid with his remarks with us about just how, his experience level over the last several seasons has prepared him for these kind of moments. And it's just one of great perspective. I think I guess anytime you enter a sixth year as a college player, you kind of have that perspective built into you. But I think particularly with his journey between all the injuries, all the QB battles he's been a part of in the past, he really has a really great perspective on how to approach these last couple of months in terms of, earning the starting job. And I think it's going to be a real fierce battle come August.
I think for a lot of people in Louisiana, seeing Arch Manning go to Texas wasn't the biggest news in the world, but I think another world where they possibly could care is if he recruits some of the high-end players of the state to go to Texas. Does Arch strike you as a guy like that, or you think he's going to just head to Texas and leave it be?
Well, you've kind of seen it since his commitment. Texas has been rolling in the commits recently on the offensive line. I think they've picked up 4 or 5 new additions in the last weekend alone since Arch made his commitment. So it wouldn't be a bit surprising for me to see, a lot of the skills position players, maybe some offensive guys, give a real hard look at Texas if that's something that, intrigues them or if Texas is interested. But, I think the Arch Manning effect certainly has an effect on some of these prospects, and you'll certainly see, I think, a lot more, especially with some of these recruiting restrictions that have been lifted in terms of how many guys you can signed, I would expect Texas to be very aggressive in going after some really talented players.
So, speaking of the state of Texas, what did Max Johnson have to say?
Yeah, it was interesting. I got a chance to talk to him for a few minutes. He seems very at peace with his decision. He kind of called it a business-like decision in terms of him electing to enter the portal and head to A&M. Obviously, joining a number one recruiting class in the country with the way that Jimbo and the Aggies were able to sign all those guys last year. It's an exciting group. He seems like he's really adjusting well. I think having his brother there obviously is another intriguing factor for him. But yeah, he had nothing but good things to say about his time here at LSU. He had a meeting with Brian Kelly right when he was hired, and just kind of felt like after that meeting it was the best decision for him to enter the portal and have a chance to go be a starter somewhere else in the SEC.
What you got coming up before SEC Media Days over at Go247?
Oh, lots of recruiting, lots of following up with the baseball stuff. I don't think LSU baseball is anywhere near done of adding players, adding transfer portal guys, and continuing to work the phone lines with a lot of those guys. So certainly lots of stuff to come. But yeah, it's going to be very, very fun SEC Media Days next month for sure.
Glenn West, Go247 is our guest. Thanks for the time, man.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
It's those guys on the camp and recruiting beat. This is a heavy time for them. Everybody else is kind of decompressing from baseball and waiting to ramp up for football. They don't get that luxury. They got to dive into these camps and recruiting. And I think LSU baseball is going to make a lot of headlines over the next couple of weeks. Transfer portal, MLB draft, signing class, all that. This roster is far from complete with Jay Johnson. I think they got the right man at the head of the ship making waves. He's also got to hire a full-time assistant. He was talking about that earlier with Leah Van today and said that they don't really have any candidates at this point. Pitching coach was a priority. Now got to go find one of the best recruiters in the country to be on his staff as an assistant. So we'll see where Jay decides to go from that one. We'll come back with more. It's Hunt and Hill.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge with Hunt and Hill.
Bayou Ford, check them out at BayouFord.com. Got the whole inventory there, but more importantly, that's where you can start your journey to customizing the vehicle of your choice. Don't settle because there's only a couple cars on the lot and you just take that one. No, let them order the car that you want. It can come in 60 to 90 days and you are on your way. They got a great buyback program over there at Bayou Ford. So if you're looking to try to get rid of the car that you currently have and get into something new, let them purchase your vehicle from you. Talk to Ben Gagne and the crew about that. And every vehicle purchased at Bayou Ford, all the new ones, get a 1,000,000-mile power-trained warranty. So for the life of that vehicle, you will be under that warranty. They got some great deals going on right now too, Jeremy.
Yeah, they got an awesome special going right now on two vehicles. First being all new 2021 Ford F-150s. They're getting $10,000 off MSRP. And also all new Ford Edge, all new 2022 Ford Edge SUVs. They're getting $4,000 off MSRP.
The website is BayouFord.com. Bayou Ford. We're going to do right by you.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the JimsFirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the JimsFirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
My own people call me an Uncle Tom. I play music. Been wined and dined by royalty. Trying to bring people together. All people. But regardless of all that kind of stuff, I'm still Louis Armstrong.
Here's the man you're waiting for, the king of jazz, Louis Satchmo Armstrong.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
It's no secret, the best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
5 ESPN and Guarantee Media bring you Drop Biscuit Studios. It's a southern home for storytellers. Visit dropbiscuit.com today and check out the trailer to our first original series, Pops, the Louis Armstrong story, starring Reno Wilson. Subscribe today. This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Every once in a while, a show kind of takes off organically and you discover a talking point that you didn't have on the log. And that happened when I was just chatting with Glenn. I realize that we have talked a lot about this LSU baseball team moving into next year. But as you start to write this out and look at the amount of offensive players that would command serious amount of playing time, the numbers don't really work. They got too many guys. Now, I'll roll through this line of guys that I think are starter caliber players. And you realize that there are only 8 spots. Well, 9 with the DH. So only 9 spots. Okay. Trey Morgan, Dylan Cruz, Josh Pearson, Jordan Thompson. That's kind of where I start. That's 4 guys. Now, there are some maybes here. But you feel like Milazzo and Travinsky are back. That's 6 total. You got Pineda and White from the transfer portal. That gets you to 8. Then you've got Jobert, Dugas, Beloso. Now you're at 11. And I haven't gotten to the freshmen yet. Paxton Kling is 12. Gavin Guidry is 13. Mikey Romero, 14. Brady Neal, 15. Jared Jones, 16. That's 16 guys who I think could be on the team next year who are fighting for 9 spots. Now, Jobert might get drafted and leave. Dugas might decide, time to get on with it and go. Obviously, you're looking at draftable guys in Guidry and Romero and Neal and Jones, and maybe they don't show up either. And the problem starts to work it out a little bit. But when you look at the lineup that they are bringing in next year, they're going to have good college baseball players on the bench.
Yeah, they definitely are. And I think it's a great problem. I'd rather have this problem than another. I know at the transfer portal sometimes it can get a little sticky, but it's a great problem to have. You want to have a surplus of talent, and you want to have options. You want to be able to mix and match guys, and you want to be able to, really put in there who's playing well. And I think with the injuries you kind of seen this team sustain last year, having depth I don't think is going to be a big problem because, it's a long growing season and guys are going to be in and out of the lineup. If you got some guys who are really talented but just don't happen to start, I think it's a great problem. Now, we know with the transfer portal it may not work out well for the long term, but Coach Johnson's going to have some decisions to make, especially I think starting with the infield.
I mean, the locks to start every day are Morgan, Cruz, Pearson, and White. That's 4 guys are going to be in there. I'm comfortable saying Jordan Thompson's going to start. I'm comfortable saying that Pineda, the shortstop from Baylor, is going to start. That's 6 of your 9 spots probably locked up. the question is, it sounds nuts to even have this conversation, but like, if they come back and are on the team, are Jobert and Dugas definitely in the lineup? I didn't even mention Stevenson, Josh Stevenson.
Yeah,
you're getting up to like 17.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough, man. I think you're gonna have to find some decisions to make. You're gonna have to make that tough decision. Are you gonna put Tommy Tanks at third base? Are you gonna keep Morgan at first? Are you gonna DH?
The question is,
Jobert?
does Tommy White have a problem DHing? Because he's a perfect DH if that's not a big deal to him. Now he's not in his draft year, and you could say, hey, we're loaded this year, and we need you to DH more often than not. On Tuesdays, every once in a while, we can get you out there at third base, and maybe in the following year, in your draft year, you can earn a spot defensively. But here in your sophomore year, like, we need you to DH because we've got too many good players.
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes you're gonna have to have that conversation with somebody, because I don't think they want to put Jobert in the outfield. So I think that DH spot's going to be a tough decision that Coach Johnson's going to have to make. Which guy are you? I mean, you could run it back if he decides to come back and put Jobert at DH. I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. But I think the biggest decision is going to be, where are you putting Thompson? Are you going to put him at second? Are you going to put him at third? I think Pineda should be the shortstop. I want him playing shortstop. So it's a lot of decisions he's going to have to make, but I still think it's a good thing. Regardless.
I mean, it's wild. This 2 years ago, this program started Will Helmers at third base in the opening game of the season, and he was a pitcher the rest of the year. So I mean, 2 years in a row at LSU, a player has started opening night and then never started again. Will Helmers did it last year, and then this year Will Safford was the opening night second baseman, which was kind of a surprise to a lot of people that had been paying attention. And all of a sudden, but it's just, it's definitely a great thing to have a ton of depth so you can overcome an injury here or there, but it also creates a bit of an issue with playing time and keeping guys happy and keeping guys here. And it just, what if one of these young freshmen decides, hey, I'm going to sign because I'm not going to go there and sit on the bench for a year. Like, that's not going to help me out any. So I guess I had thought about it a little bit in my head, but I hadn't necessarily gotten to it on paper. And even going through that exercise, because like I said, I thought this up while Glenn was talking. I just got to 17 guys as far as position players. There has never, in my memory, been 17 guys that could play and could be productive. I mean, Travinsky hasn't been an everyday starter, and that may be a little bit of a stretch to put him there, but it's going to be his fourth year in the program, and he has hit some SEC homers, so it's not like he's stiff out there. And so it's just, I wonder what these conversations are going to be like with Jay Johnson, and I wonder, the fall is going to be nuts out there.
Yeah, it's going to be nuts, and I think that the crazy part about it, I don't think he's done. Now, to me, if I'm Jay, I'm just getting pictures from here on out. I think we got enough. He got enough guys in the lineup, but I don't think he's done. I still think he's going to continue to find some more position guys to fill this lineup with, and I think he's going to continue to find more pitchers. Now, as far as the lineup goes, it's going to be some really tough decisions and some not happy campers when the season rolls around. But as far as talent goes, Jay Johnson has a surplus of talent on this roster.
Maneri liked to have 11. That was kind of the number that he worked. If I've got 11 guys who I feel like are quote unquote starters, I feel like you're in a pretty good spot. If you go back to the 2019 team, to 2019 that won the national championship, you had Tyler Hanover and Derek Helney. He kind of sharing third base a little bit, and there's generally a little bit of position versatility and personnel versatility, but this would be unlike anything. And look, again, as I roll through that 17 guys, you could easily see a situation where Gavin Dugas says, I'm not going to come back, I'm done. You can see a situation where Jobert goes in the 8th round and he wants to go play. All of the freshmen that I lifted there were 5 of them, are significant draft risks. I think the best chance you have to get on campus is Paxton Kling. I think Gavin Guidry's going to come, and I'm still not giving up hope on Mikey Romero. The 2 catchers, you just got to try to get one of them if you possibly can. So the numbers work themselves out as the eventual solution to this problem, but it is jarring to write it down on paper, and I think we got so accustomed Will Wade just pillaging transfer portal and going and recruiting like crazy and building the roster year in and year out at a level that we had not seen in Baton Rouge on the basketball front in a very, very long time. And I think Jay is going to be just cut out of that exact same cloth, and he's just going to be relentless. And like I said in the first hour, there just aren't a lot of places that can sell what LSU can sell. There are far more of them in basketball and football than there are in baseball. So you just kind of open the doors and here they come. And it's been amazing to watch. And I'm very, very comfortable with the direction of the baseball program here with Jay Johnson. I think he's doing a phenomenal job. And that team next year going to be good. They just got to find a way to put a starting pitching staff together. Wait, I wanted to talk about this. Another thing that popped into my brain. Let's just go to it because we got some time left in this segment. The College World Series shrinking down a little bit in terms of days. It used to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, best 2 out of 3, and now they've backed it up and it's Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and you've condensed it by a couple of days. I believe that it has created more of a need for a fourth starter. You saw Arkansas and Ole Miss had to go to fourth starters over time. And that wasn't necessarily the case back in the old College World Series. Sometimes if you were stayed in the winner's bracket, you could get by with just 3. So to me, I think personally, I would change a little bit of the way that I run my program for those 56 games in the regular season. As opposed to chopping up those midweek games and getting a lot of guys innings, I'm going to try to develop a fourth guy in case I need them in a regional or in Omaha. And if you're at LSU, I think it is reasonable to make decisions based on Omaha, what you got to do in Omaha. Like, I think that's a reasonable thing to build your program around. Some schools, I think that's a little bit of a stretch, trying to figure out what you're going to do on Tuesday but at LSU and some of the places like that's the goal every single year. I think I've never been a guy that said you really need to develop a fourth guy on Tuesdays. I don't need my Tuesday guy going 8 innings against Southeastern. Like, that's not necessary. Yeah. I'm starting to change my tune on that a little bit, watching the College World Series and seeing these teams dip down to their fourth starters and having to ask those guys to get innings because, DeLucia and Elliott have gone, and now you got to go to I think that was a thought I had over the weekend, but I didn't put it into the log because I had kind of forgotten about it. But as we were sitting there running in circles, I was like, oh yeah, I wanted to talk about that. I think I'm going to be now in favor of trying to get a fourth starter, and hopefully we can have Wes Johnson on here in the coming weeks once he gets settled here in Baton Rouge and see kind of what his philosophy is on that, and certainly Jay will have his say as well. But do you see kind of where you can't get through Omaha, especially if you lose a game and have to come back out of the loser's bracket? It just taxes your pitching. Yeah. I think you got to have a fourth guy ready to go.
Yeah, and I think we talked about all the huge lineups going into Omaha, but what you saw throughout the whole thing is the teams with the most pitching. That's who advance further and further along throughout it. So if your team that has 3 arms, God forbid your team with 4, especially arms who can go deep in games, I think that opens up a world, especially in that tournament where it's kind of a crapshoot. You can get guys in there that can get you those first 2 games. Yeah, I think I could definitely agree with you there where having 4 going forward, especially for a tight Omaha, that may be the best way to go.
There have been times in Omaha where no one played on Saturday and Sunday leading up to the national because they just stretched it out a little bit more, and that gives your pitchers a couple of extra days to rest. So now all of a sudden 3 days rest becomes 5 days rest, which is what you get in the major leagues, and that's when you bring aces back on 5 days there. So I think that changes things a little bit. It also just once again drives home this Tennessee team was tailor-made for Omaha. They had 4 aces, great offensive lineup, played great defense. I mean, they had every piece you could want. They could have gotten into the loser's bracket and still come out with Tidwell and Burns. They had enough guys and they just got beat in the supers. It's just nuts because they were just perfectly made for this tournament in that ballpark, and it just didn't work out. That tells you how tough it is to win. Mike Bianco can tell you how tough it is to win. It took him over 2 decades to get it done, but they did it yesterday. Rebs national chance. We'll come back, close out a Monday edition of Hunt and Hill.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This baseball season turns K's into cash and big hits into big wins with FanDuel Sportsbook. Right now, new customers can step up to the plate with a no sweat first bet up to $1,000. Just sign up with promo code 1045 ESPN. Place your first bet, and FanDuel will give you $1,000 back in free bets if you don't win.
Cubs won a series over the weekend. I can't make fun of them too badly. They did it over the Cardinals, which we like a lot. If you want to get in on the FanDuel Sportsbook right now, a lot of Major League Baseball action today. They got your run lines, they got your money lines, they got your over-unders. Dodgers at Colorado, 11.5 is the over-under on that one. Take the over. It's Coors Field. You can bet on baseball all summer long on America's #1 sportsbook. Remember the promo code 1045 ESPN. You can redeem all your prizes there. You must be 21 and present in Louisiana. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as a non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you or someone who has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me, non c'è.
Call Mr. Electric today for electrical repairs, upgrades, and installations.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
And this year, 2022, it's time to finally treat yourself. Bring your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service. You want the latest and greatest marine technology? You want to go to the place that has not one, but two NMEA-certified techs. Family-owned and operated by the Sherman family for 30 years, front-to-back is the answer in Baton Rouge for all of your custom boat needs. So head to fronttobackboatservice.com or find them on Facebook, Front to Back Boat Service.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes.
For a Monday edition of Early Line, as Jeremy Hill fills in for Musso and we recap the sports weekend, including the College World Series final between Oklahoma and Ole Miss, and we look forward to the new week. Join us, 2 p.m., 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I'd like to give a shout out to Citizens Bank and Trust. They bring you a poll question every day, except when we forget to do it. And this is one of those days where we forgot to do it. But Citizens Bank and Trust is great, and they have us do a poll every single day. So check them out, Citizens Bank and Trust. All right, let's do some take it or leave it, Jeremy. Fire away.
All righty, here. Let's do some take it or leave it. After being rejected by the Warriors assistant coach Kenny Atkinson, the Charlotte Hornets decided to hire Steve Clifford, who they just fired in 2018. Are you taking or leaving? More NBA franchises take on this strategy and hire former coaches they just fired.
I'm going to go ahead and leave that. I mean, it's just the good old boys club. It's just constant cycling through, rehiring people. How many times did Billy Martin get hired by the Yankees? Let me look. It was something comical. They made fun of it on Seinfeld as well. As a manager, he was with the Yankees 3 different stints as the manager of the Yankees. So, yeah, just you find a way to 75 to 78, then in 79, then 83, 85, and 88. So it's 4 different stints. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, it's not a good practice. Don't hire the guys you fired. You fired them because they did a terrible job. They're probably not going to do a great job the next time around. Just the way that it basically is. All right, this is something I saw today. I just wanted to toss in there as something goofy. Sky Cruise is a concept for a 20-engine airplane that can accommodate up to 5,000 guests. It's basically a hotel in the sky. It's got rooms, beds, restaurants, bars, swimming pools, game rooms. A hotel in the sky. Take it or leave it.
I will take it under one condition. I'm going to have to see this thing up and running for a couple years, make sure it's nice and safe and sound, no hiccups on the road, because it sounds really sketchy when you first hear about this, like 20-engine plane, like 5,000 people on one plane. Like, it's a little sketchy, but
Look,
hey, I'll give it a chance.
I've only flown overseas once, and in my head, an overseas plane was like different. It was like bigger, had more space. I mean, you're going to be on this thing for like 8 hours. Nope, it's just your standard deal. You get in there and let's rock and roll. And I did not sleep a wink on the way from Washington, D.C. to Rome. And then we got there and it was 9 a.m. and it was time to go. So that was a long day. But yeah, I'm a little skeptical of it. But going swimming or sleeping in a bed sounds better than the flight I had from D.C. to Rome. So maybe it'll be worth a shot. Probably going to cost a little bit of money as well. But I also don't know if I want to be up there with 5,000. It sounds like a lot.
All righty, here. The Broxton Rocks of the Futures Collegiate Baseball League. They're no stranger to Major League Baseball ties with Manny Ramirez Jr., Pedro Martinez Jr., D'Angelo Ortiz, Jaden Sheffield, and pitcher Cade Falk all being on the same baseball team. With attendance being double since last season, are you taking or leaving? The Rocks, they should still be the hottest ticket in town.
I don't know if these kids are any good. Their dads were really good. We got Keith Falk, who was the closer who broke the curse for the Red Sox. You got Big Papi, Manny, Pedro. I wonder if their kids are any good. That's a lot to live up to. It's not like the Mannings, where all of a sudden you just win championships all the time. But yeah, it's I'd like to play on that team because it's a lot of interesting dads on the squad that you can chat with. But yeah, I'll take it. Zach Greinke reportedly walked up to a young fan who was holding out a baseball. He grabbed the ball, and instead of signing it, he threw it 200 feet into the outfield. When asked why he did that, he said, "For my amusement." Zach Greinke, being amused, take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave this. Zach, what are we doing? I know
He's a weird guy.
There's some personalities, and I've seen my boy John Boy do some breakdowns with my boy Zach, so he's one of those characters on the bump. I mean, you get him going, he's going to go. But, yeah, we got to leave this, Zach. What are we doing? Come on, Zach.
I don't know. So, to be clear, I wanted to put this in there because it's worth kind of having a stupid discussion. But, like, I don't know that this happened. Somebody on Twitter said it happened. There's no video of it. There's no evidence. And I don't think Greinke's commented on it. Now, Greinke is a weird dude. He's got some personality deals where he hates talking to the media. But I find it hard to believe this is true. But if it is, it certainly deserves a little bit of investigating because you can't just go up to a kid, take the ball from him, and then chuck it 200 feet into the outfield. That's just poor etiquette.
No, I'm glad you said that because I'm starting to think like I'm gonna have to see a video for this because I can't imagine a world where you just actually chunked the ball that far. Like, come on, Zach.
Where are you on autographs?
No, I'm fine with it. I think I think if a guy wants to sign, then it's good to go. I mean, sometimes I think as players, sometimes it can be overwhelming if you're trying to have dinner and someone just shoving something in your face. That's the one thing where I'm like, okay, we can hold off. But if you're at the park or something like that, then no, I have no quarrels with it.
I signed an autograph during the pregame show a couple of years ago. I was up there with Brandon Taylor and Marlon Favorite, guys who have won national championships, SEC championships, and this guy comes up. He has got a hat and he wants Marlon and Brandon to sign, so I get them to sign and I hand it back. He's like, "You got to sign it too?" I was like, "Are you kidding me?" He's like, "Yeah, you got to sign it." I was like, I mean, you're devaluing this asset if I put my signature. So I took a pen and signed the autograph, gave it back. I was like, that's just really not worth anything. But sure, here you go. I have a couple of autographs that I think are pretty cool. Like my aunt and cousin were up in New York. And the Lakers were in town, and Shaq and Kobe were there. And they were walking through, and my aunt goes, "Shaq, I went to LSU!" And he stopped and signed. And then he went and got Kobe and got him to sign too. So I've got on the Plaza Hotel, like, stationery, I've got Shaq and Kobe. But I think, like, doing the sports writing thing and doing some radio stuff and, like, interviewing Les Miles twice a week and some of the starstruck stuff, like, doesn't really exist for me anymore. Like, if I saw some, like, ridiculous movie star, I think one thing. But in the sports world, like, I just don't get it so starstruck anymore.
So if Tiger walked in this studio right now,
that's pretty good. Tiger's pretty good.
Okay,
that's a little bit of a different story.
There's a couple of people out there still, yeah. Because I know some Michael Jordan walked in there. I'd be freaking. Is that freaking Mike right there? Like, yeah, there's a couple that'll get me going a little bit. I
was in the Dallas airport back in 2019. And was sitting there having a beer waiting to get on my flight, and Herschel Walker walked right by. I was like, "There's Herschel Walker." How about that? Just walking by himself, rolling through. Now he's like running for Congress or something. I don't know what all that is about. We still got a lot to get to coming up this week. Excited for tomorrow's show. AJ Nola, who is Austin and Aaron's dad, is going to join us. If you missed it over the weekend, this is the second series of the season between the Phillies and Padres where those two play, and Aaron pitched against the Padres, and he pitched great, gave up 1 run, Austin RBI single, and they lost 1-0. So there's some classic video when Aaron struck Austin out early, and then Austin got the RBI hit off Aaron late, and that shows the parents reacting, and mom clapped both times, dad kind of like shrugged his shoulders a little bit. It's kind of a weird deal. Dad also had he had one jersey on buttoned up, and then he had the other jersey over the top of it unbuttoned, so he kind of had both of those working. But we'll talk with AJ about what that's been like, seeing those two guys play each other now for 2 different series. So we'll talk to AJ tomorrow. I'm trying to get Shay Dixon to come in for half an hour to kind of talk about some camps, some recruiting stuff. So we'll try to run that down. It's a little bit of a slow time on the sports calendar, but we'll make it work here on Hunt and Hill. If you missed anything, on demand, 1045ESPN.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all that good stuff. We had a fun show, talk with Glenn West in the second hour, and talked a lot of baseball in the first hour as well. Matt's going to drive you home on After Further Review from 3 to 6. Jimmy Ott's Game Time from 6 to 8. Mario and Jeremy coming at you with Early Line here for another hour. So hope everybody has a great Monday. We're back Tuesday. It's Hunt and Hill.
There it is,